Okay, so we decided to do story time.
Ooh, what kind of stories?
Let's tell them the story about the time that you found a dying man and invited him back to our apartment.
Oh, God. How do we even want to start that one?
Well, it was 3 a.m.
Yes, it was.
And nothing good ever happens after 3 a.m.
Except it all comes down to our dog, who likes to find stray things. In this case, a person.
Yeah. Well, he was inside and he was being really crazy and pushing the side of the bed.
Mind you, we're both asleep. Yep, so he wakes me up. I figure he has to go pee because that's what usually happens. So take him out, go down the stairs at the apartment, and he's just pulling me. He pulls me down to a creek.
He pulls you down to a creek.
Yep. There's a creek that ran behind the apartment place. He goes down there and goes straight to this body on the ground. He just starts sniffing it. And I was like, that's odd. 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a body. Kind of asked, hey man, you good? Nothing. Hey, I'm getting concerned at this point.
Did you poke him with a stick?
I kicked him.
You kicked him?
I nudged him. And he responded. And okay, so I helped the dude up. Try to get him to sit up, and I was like, okay, maybe he just drank too much and passed out. You know, it happens. It's college. Come to find out, after I got him talking, he didn't speak English. And my Spanish is very rusty. So I'm doing my best to try to persuade this guy. Trying to figure out where he came from. See a party going on up there. Building above. I'm like, hey, he probably came from there. Asked the people, and apparently they beat the crap out of him, and he's no longer welcome there. So I'm like, okay.
Sad.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't bring him back to those people because they don't seem to like him very much. What else happened? Like, I tried to talk to him. Eventually, I was like, you know what? I'm not bringing this guy home with me, obviously. I don't know who he is, and he just got the crap beat out of him. Don't want to call the cops or anything. I was like, and he was passed out drunk. What happened? I brought him to the stairs, like, kind of back in the general direction of one of our buildings, set him on the stairs, like, hey, man, I'll go get you a blanket and you can sleep, like, by one of the poolside beach chairs until morning and sleep it off, because...
Remember, he doesn't speak English, so he has no idea what you're talking about.
I keep trying to tell him, like, hey, I'm going to get you a blanket, you're going to go over there. It's not happening very well, so my lovely wife, who speaks better Spanish than me, I'm like, hey, babe. I'll sit there, go wake her up. I was like, hey, babe, kind of situation might need your help with.
Yeah, and then I go downstairs, and I start talking to this man. Actually, he wasn't like a man. He was probably our age.
He's like 20.
Maybe a little
20,
maybe a
22,
little older. Yeah, so I started talking to him, and apparently he was under the impression that you invited him back to our house. And he was, in Spanish, he just kept on saying, we go to your house. I sleep at your house. And I was like, no.
All right, so that got awkward real quick. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to drive you home. Where do you live? And he kept saying this word. What was the word he said? Do you remember?
Didn't you try to take him, like, to the pool area?
Yeah, and he wasn't having it. And I was
like, sleep it off?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain to him. He just said that. Anyway, I was like, okay, where do you live? He kept saying this word.
Yeah, and...
El something, or
I mean,
la something.
Well, my Spanish isn't, like, awful. I mean, I grew up with it fluently, but then it kind of dissipated after a while. So I was like, man, I must be really rusty on my Spanish. I have no idea what this word is that he's saying. So, what are you doing? Oh.
Anyway, so it eventually got so bad, we're like, you know what? We're just going to drive around town, and hopefully this guy can point in the direction that he says is home. And that's what we did. Threw him in the truck.
In the front of the truck. I sat in the back. He sat shotgun, and we just, like...
Did we have the dog with us?
No, he just had to point.
He was pointing. I remember seeing Thomas Park, and him just getting really excited when we passed Thomas Park. He's like, El Parque de Thomas, and just started singing it.
That's where that came from?
Yeah, that's from him.
I completely forgot
that's
about
why every time we pass Thomas Park, it's like, El Parque de Thomas.
Yeah, so every time we pass that place, we always look at each other and say, El Parque de Thomas.
So eventually he kind of points us in the right direction, which is not too far away, a few miles. Get to a street that I've never been on before, and realize the word he's been saying has been the street name the whole
It was the
time.
street name.
I
So
was
we
like-
were taught when we asked him, like, where do you live? He was telling us the name of his street.
Yeah, I felt like a huge dummy because that never even occurred to me what he was saying.
I thought, this is what I thought. I thought that he was talking about, like, his country.
Yeah, come to find out, he's a foreign exchange student from a country,
Yeah, a country.
one of the ones that are south of America.
And he was a nice guy. So we pull up to the,
Not nice enough not to get jumped at a party.
yeah, who knows what he did,
I
right?
don't know what he did, but I felt bad for the dude.
But Shiner saved his life.
Pretty much, he was like halfway in a creek, and I was just like, I found a dead body. This is awkward. Start nudging it.
Awkward.
It's like, do I have to do something? I guess I have to do something to this.
Oh my
Thank you, dog.
gosh.
And eventually he let up, told him, he said, basically, call us if you're ever back in town. I was like, okay, cool. Never exchanged numbers, though, so.
He like walked right out of the truck and then just kind of slid into this house. And I was like, I really hope that's.
It was a kind of a sketchy house, but we're college, so most
It
places.
was in like a really sketchy area.
But most places we live in college as students tend to be sketchier. So
Yeah.
that's fair.
Where was it? Was it?
It was behind,
some
University
food
Drive.
place, right?
it was behind like one of the food hubs where it has all the restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's our story time for the day.
It was a good time. So Parque de Thomas, I always remember that.
El Parque de
He was
Thomas.
very cheerful about it.
He was so happy about it.
Damn
I'm
dog.
glad he finally like woke up though, because
Did he? We never saw him again.
well, no, I'm talking about like once you found him, he was different from when you found him face down to when he managed to walk home.
I'm just
Into
curious
his
how the
house.
dog from across the apartment complex.
He heard it. He must have heard some sort of
Or
ruckus
smelled it
or realized somebody was dying. I don't know. He had a sense to.
We have a bad habit of finding strays. Usually it's animals, but so was a person.
Do you always bring animals home? Like not
I bring
home.
'em
No, you don't
home.
bring them home. You just tell me about them, and then I go and bring them home.
Not always. Unless it was that cat that one time.
Yeah, I felt bad.
It's a story for another time.
Story for another time.
Or the dog. We
Just-
do find a lot of strays.
And people, apparently.
All right.
Okay, that's all for today, folks. Why do I always finish with that? And I always bring the thumb
That's
up,
all,
too.
folks.
That's all, folks.
I think that's trademark too, so you're probably gonna get sued.
Uh-oh. Copyright infringement. Sorry. I do not own rights to that. Does that help you when you say stuff like that?
I don't think it hurts you.
Okay. Adios, amigos. There's another one.